Hello everyone, how are you? How's it going? Hope you're doing good. Well, it's time. Feels like it's time to intervene. So today, as usual, we'll be doing something really interesting. I do want to know what it is. But hold on, feels like we learned something in the last class, right? But I just forgot. Can anyone help me out? What we learned in the last class? Anyone? It's your time. Just spit it out. What we learned in the last class? Feels like we were working on a project called the flower classification. But what kind of flower? I just forgot the name. Anyone? Wow, some of you are saying something I really appreciate. Iris flower, right? And I told you there are types of iris flowers are there. I mean, the flower has classified into three types. Which are they? Yeah, it's your time. Just spit it out. Exactly. Iris setosa, Iris virginica. And what about the last one? Or the third one? Iris versicolor. Exactly. These are the three types of species or three types of classification of iris flower. That's really amazing, right? And we were working on a project through Google Colab. And wait, let me ask you something. What was your project aim or what was your project concept? What was that? Any guess from anyone? Excel. It's all about the project that has to predict the flower in which category it belongs to or in which classification it belongs to by just measuring its petal and sepal. And the measurement will be uploading, right? Yeah, we'll be giving the measurements of each flower and the project has to predict in which category it belongs to. That's all about the concept actually. Well, I hope you can see the screen and over there you can see something, right? Okay, hold on, let me maximize a little bit. And here we go, there you can see some numbers like 4.6, 3.4 and 1.4 and 0.3. And you know what, these are actually the measurements of an iris flower. And over there you can see a run button, right? Over there you can see a run button. So whenever I click on this option, the project has to predict the category or the classification which this measurement or the flower belongs to. So here I'm gonna press this button and let's see. Wow, look at that. At the bottom there you can see, right? Over there you can see it says iris eto. So that's perfect. So this how does it work actually? All you need to do is just give the measurements to the project and the project will be predicting exactly the species or the classification which belongs to. And today we'll be finalizing the project. So are you guys ready for that? You know what, I really want to feel energy. So are you guys ready for that? Just say something. Okay, that's great. So before into in, let's talk about what are the things that we'll be learning today. So I'm gonna share my screen and let's figure it out. Well, I hope you can see the screen and these are the things that you'll be learning today. Have a look. I told you today we'll be finalizing the project. Wait, what is the project name again? Iris DNN Classifier. And we will be learning model training, model evaluation and testing the model. This is all about the final part of the code that we'll be doing now. So I want you to open Google and just search Google Colab and I want you to open the same code that we did in the last class, that Python code. Everyone has to take the same, exactly the same. Well, I hope you can see the screen and this is all about that we did in the last class, right? Hope it was clear. Anyway, I just want to make sure a little bit. So there you can see some code and here you can see iris.data. If you couldn't see this one, you need to upload it again. That's really important. Just make sure if it's there or not. If it's not there, you need to upload it again. So for that, you know what to do, right? Just click on this option again and just select the path where you have downloaded and just upload it again. So this is how does it work actually. Now let's talk about the code a little bit. So what about this one? Can you explain what it says? Okay, let me maximize a little bit. Well, this is all about the libraries, right? I told you this is all about the libraries. And here, if you really wanted to call this one numpy, we'll be calling np instead. So this is all about the naming. That's all about this one. And what about this one? The second one, can you help me out what it stands for? I just forgot. Anyone? Feels like some of you are saying something. Excel, it's all about setting the box, right? And the columns will be named as sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and the class labels. I told you it's all about that species name. We have three classification, right? Which are they? Setosa, virginica, and versicolor. So the last column will be named as class labels. And this one stands for uploading the data that we have downloaded. And when you click on this one, okay, first of all, you need to click this one actually. I just forgot to say that. Everyone has to just click on this option. And that's perfect. And just click on the second one. And then you will be able to see the data. However, you can see the measurements up to 4, 0 to 4, which means total 5. And if you really want to see the rows up to 40 or 50, all you need to do is just add a number in between, exactly like this. And just press it this again. And you will be able to see 30 rows. So this is how does it work actually. And if you really want to clear this, just click on this option. There you can see an option, right? And there will be having some options like show, hide, clear selected outputs. So if you really want to hide or clear this, Just click any of these options. That's perfect. And what about this one? Can anyone help me out? I just forgot. What about this one? What it stands for? It's all about printing the classification, right? I mean the labels. So whenever I click on this option, we can see the labels. I mean the species names, exactly. So this is all about that we did in the last class. Hope it was clear. Now let's move to the next. That is what is we need to finalize the code. I mean today we'll be finalizing the project, right? So again, just click on the code option again from here. And look what I'm going to add inside. And here we go. Well, it's your time. Everyone has to type the same, exactly the same, and I'm going to let you know everything in detail. Well, it's all about splitting the data that we have uploaded. So everyone has to type the same, exactly the same. Well, I hope you have completed. Now let's talk about one by one. I told you it's all about splitting the data that we have uploaded. And now look at the first line. Here you can see something like train test split, right? So this is all about a function which will be importing from this one actually. And we will be using this function for split the data set into training and testing set. So this is all about this line indicates actually. And now look at the second line. There you can see X train, Y train, X test and Y test. So just keep in mind here X stands for or contains the measurements of the iris flower. You remember that petal length, petal width, sepal length and sepal width. So these measurements are all about X. Now let's talk about Y. There you can see something like Y train, Y test, right? So the Y indicates the labels actually. I mean the species. You remember, right? That classification, the three types of classification. So Y indicates the classification. And in the last you can see something like 0.2. Did you see that? At the end you can see something like 0.2. So which indicates or which means 20% of the data will be used for testing and the remaining 80% for training. So that's all about this line indicates. So just keep in mind X for measurements, X contains the measurements and Y contains the labels, that species names. And I told you this code is all about for splitting the data that we have uploaded, the data sheet. And it will be printing whatever inside the X. So for that everyone has to just click on this option again. And let's wait a little bit. And here we go. Though you can see an output like this, right? So everyone has to do the same. Hope you got the same. And then just scroll down. Well, now let's move to the next. For that, just click on the code again. And look what I'm going to add inside. Well, everyone has to type the same. Exactly the same. Well, I hope you completed. So this code stands for, it will import a machine learning model called SVC. So it has a full form actually. That is what is support vector classifier. So that is what it stands for, SVC. And although you can see X train and Y train, and I told you X contains all the measurements. And what about Y? I just forgot. Can you help me out? What about the Y? Yeah, it's all about that labels, right? That species names. It trains the model using the training data. So it can learn to classify iris flowers based upon their measurements. This is all about the code. Now I want you to click the run button. Just click on it. And here we go. Now let's talk about the next. So for that again add a code and look what I'm going to add inside. Well, here we go. Now I want you to type exactly the same. I told you do not miss any letter, comma or whatever inside this code. Everyone has to type exactly the same. And just keep in mind this code makes prediction on the test set using the trained model. Well, I hope you are completed. Now I want you to click the run button. So just click on it. And it's loading a little bit. Well, and although you can see the percentage is around 93.3. Yeah, that's not bad, right? What about you guys? That's the accuracy percentage for the prediction. That's not bad. So now let's move to the next. That is what is the final code. So everyone has to just click on the code again. And look what I'm going to add inside. This is all about the final code. Here we'll be adding the measurements. And the project has to predict the flower in which species it belongs to or category it belongs to. And here we go. Everyone has to type the same. Yeah, it's your time. Everyone has to type the same. And I told you this is all about the last code. And here you can see a square box, right? Here we'll be adding the measurements. I'm going to show you that. So first of all, everyone has to type this in. It's your time. Well, I hope you're completed. Now it's time to test this one, right? You guys are ready for that. I know it. So although you can see a square box, here we need to fill the measurement. Here we need to add the measurements of the flower. It has to be in this way. The first one should be the sepal length and the second should be the sepal width. Okay, don't be confused. I'm going to show you that. So let me scroll down. And although we have created a box, right? Yeah, here we go. And these exactly orders we need to fill. So the first one should be the sepal length, and the second one should be the sepal width, and the third one the petal length and the petal width. So these are we need to add inside. So look what I'm gonna do. Let me scroll down. And here I'm gonna add the measurements. For that I'll be using that data sheet. I'm gonna show you that. Just look at the screen. Well, I hope you can see the screen, and over there you can see the data sheet, right? And over there you can see a lot of measurements. So these measurements stands for iris setosa. And let me scroll down a little bit. And here we go. Well, these are stands for versicolor, iris versicolor. And let me scroll down a little bit. And there you can see the virginica. So there you can see a lot of measurements. From here, I'm gonna pick one of the measurements, and let's figure it out the project is working perfectly or not. So let's pick one of the measurements from the iris virginica, right? So here I'm gonna pick this one. I'm gonna copying the same. And here you can see the comma, right? So I told you the first one indicates the sepal length, and the second one, which means the 3.0, indicates the sepal width. And what about the 6.6? Of course, is the petal length, right? Don't be confused. And what about the last one, 2.1? It indicates the petal width. So here I'm gonna copy this one, and I'm gonna pasting inside the project, and let's see what would happen. It has to show iris virginica as a result, right? Anyway, let's figure it out. So here I'm gonna paste it inside. Well, I hope you can see the screen, and here I'm gonna pasting the same. Well, that's perfect. Now it's time to check it. So for that, here I'm gonna click this option. And what did I say? It has to show whatever the species I just forgot. The classification. Yeah, it's iris virginica, right? And here we go. It's loading a little bit. And look at that. Did you see that at the bottom though? You can see the option, right? What it says? It's perfect, right? What do you guys think? Yeah, we have added the measurements of iris virginica, and it's predicting perfectly. So how's that? What about you guys? Did you get the same? Now it's your time. Anyway, hold on. Let's try something else, right? Let's try something for iris setosa, and let's figure it out, will it work perfectly or not. So here I'm gonna take the data sheet again, and let me add something from the iris setosa. So there you can see a lot of measurements, and here I'm gonna pick any of this. Yeah, let me pick this one, 5.2, 3.5, and 1.5, and 0.2. And I told you these are the measurements. The first one stands for the sepal length, and this is all about the sepal width, petal length, and petal width. And here I'm gonna copy this one and adding inside the project. Okay, listen, either you can clear this one and add whatever you copied just before, or else you can add another square box and we can fill the measurements. Anyway, let's try something like that, right? So here I'm gonna add a comma, that's really important, and here I'm gonna add a square box, that's perfect, and here I'm gonna add the measurements. That's pretty cool. Now let's remove this comma, that's not needed. And here we go. What should happen? Of course, the second one has to predict iris setosa, right? And here we go. I'm gonna press the button, and let's wait a little bit. Wow, did you see that? Did you see that? What it says? The first one is iris virginica, it's over there actually, and the second one says iris setosa, so it's working perfectly. Now let's try one more, that is what is for the iris setosa. So for that, here I'm gonna add another box, and inside this box, the square box, we need to add the measurements, right? So for that, let me pick something from the data sheet, and let me scroll down, and we'll be focusing on versicolor, right? So let me pick something from this side, and let me paste it inside the project, and here we go. That's perfect. Now let me check it. Here I'm gonna press this option, and it has to say versicolor, and look at that, it's perfect, right? What do you guys think? Over there you can see iris virginica, iris setosa, and iris versicolor. So this is how our project works. So this is amazing, right? Now it's your time. Everyone has to add a measurement and just check it whether it is working perfectly or not. It's your time. Just get it done. Well, I hope it's working perfectly for you guys. So that's all about the project. Now it's time to wind up. So let's talk about what are the things that we learned today. Well, today we finalized the code, right? Yeah, we finalized the code for the iris flower classification. And I told you there are 3 types of classification for iris flower. And which are they? Yeah, just look at the screen, it's over there, right? What it says, Iris setosa, Iris virginica, and Iris versicolor. So the concept of our project was actually identifying classification of iris flower by the measurements, right? So that's all about the project. And we talked about machine learning. I told it's all about the word training or teaching a machine to learn things on its own, just like we humans learn. And we talked about neural networks, right? It's all about identifying or processing an image. That's all about neural networks. And we went to the Google Colab. It's so easy to use over here, right? So this is all about Google Colab, and if you really want to do a project something over here, it's easily possible, right? Because it's so easy to use. So that's all for today. Have a nice day. Thank you.